Every once in a while, a game comes along that completely captivates me. Sometimes that's because of incredible art, fun and satisfying gameplay, or a deep and emotional narrative. And sometimes, oh so rarely, it's because all three combine into a wonderful and ethereal package. Right now, for me, that game is Celeste, a game made by the team at Matt Makes Games. This game recently won Best Indie Game at the 2018 Game Awards, and I wholeheartedly agree with that decision. Celeste follows the story of Madeline, a young woman going through a lot of inner turmoil and personal problems. She decides the best way to get more in touch with herself is to climb Celeste Mountain. In real life, Celeste Mountain is in British Columbia, a Canadian province, and it seems that much is the same in the world of Celeste. Before jumping into each chapter, you're presented with a Canadian postcard with a little tip. They don't tell you much, but serve more for flavor. As a Canadian, it's nice to see that little flag from time to time. As Madeline climbs the mountain, she meets a cast of interesting and unique characters, like the old, slightly crazy woman, and Theo, the Seattle native who's also using Celeste Mountain as a way to find himself and to get some amazing selfies. But there's also another character that is imperative to the narrative and gameplay of Celeste, and that is the part of Madeline lovingly referred to as Badeline. She is the personification of the negative emotions swirling around inside Madeline and acts narratively as a catalyst to many of the events of the story. Celeste, on the surface, is a straightforward puzzle platformer. You only have 3 actions: jump, dash, and grab. Each of these actions can also be remapped to any key of your controller, allowing you to tailor the game feel to how you prefer to play. You may think that a game with only 3 inputs may sound like it's easy, but Celeste is a difficult game to master. Almost every room has death traps like pits, spikes, and other things blocking your way forward, and only your knowledge of the controls and grasp of the game's physics can get Madeline through unscathed. You can only dash once before hitting the ground, and you can only grab onto walls for so long. You will die a lot, but as the postcards say, there's no shame in dying. Each death is a learning experience, and as you creep your way closer and closer to the end of each room, you'll feel an incredible sense of accomplishment at your improvement. Each chapter also introduces its own mechanics and obstacles, like the blocks that move when you dash, and the feather that turns Madeline into a ball of pure energy. These add flavor to the experience, keeping each chapter fresh in a way I haven't experienced in a platformer in a long time. Each room is a challenge to overcome, and every chapter holds a sense of mystery and wonder as you jump in, curious as to what curveball will be thrown at you next. Then there are the strawberries. Hidden around the world of Celeste are shining, floating strawberries. There's no reason to grab them, they can be left behind with no impact on your progression, but as the postcards say, they're for bragging rights. While the main stages of Celeste are certainly challenging, grabbing strawberries adds a whole new level of difficulty to the game's main stages. Rooms that would be a relative ease to run through can become painstakingly difficult when aiming for those blobs of red gold. There are even strawberries that have wings attached to them that fly away when you dash, challenging you to get through a room without dashing. This added challenge is welcome, and, as I mentioned before, gives you a sense of accomplishment when you grab those strawberries and hear the little audio cue letting you know that you got it. What's that? You want even more difficult levels? Good news. In every stage you can find a cassette tape that unlocks a level that plays on the ideas of the stage you found it in, called a B-side. These levels are much more difficult than the original and push you even further than the strawberries. For someone like me that appreciates the grueling difficulty, finding these tapes gives you even more to play in a game that would have been just as fantastic without them. Wait. You want even more? Well, okay, beat all the B-sides and you'll unlock the C-sides, the hardest version of each level. At the time of this recording, I haven't unlocked them, but I can only imagine them to be tough as nails since some of the B-sides have almost broken me.
Fuck! Damn it! Oh, man!
The gameplay is only one side of the coin, though. Celeste also packs a compelling narrative that will punch you right in the gut at times. As I mentioned before, Madeline is climbing Celeste Mountain for reasons that even she doesn't really understand. She's internally conflicted with anxiety and self-doubt, 2 emotions I've personally dealt with. Their personification in Badeline is the perfect metaphor to that little voice you get in the back of your mind telling you that you aren't good enough, or holding you back because of the fear of failure. Her constant intrusions in Madeline's climb, getting in her way and trying to talk her out of the climb, and Madeline's insistence that she won't give up are inspiring to watch and wonderful to play through. You find yourself rooting for Madeline to get over the hump, to overcome the challenge that not only the mountain, but her own mind possesses. Even in the spoken narrative, Madeline's challenges with anxiety are beautifully handled. There's this scene with Madeline and Theo on a lift between peaks, and while in the lift, it starts to malfunction. Madeline starts to break down a little, her anxiety getting the better of her. Luckily, Theo is there to talk her through it. This is one of the most touching scenes in the entire game, and one that brings you closer to Madeline and her mental state. Having been in similar positions myself, I know all too well what it feels like to have the entire world close in around you. This entire sequence made me feel so much closer to Madeline and Theo as characters. Theo's calming words and fantastic tip for slowing your breathing made him feel so much more lovable and alive. Overcoming mental restraints is something that every one of us has had to deal with at some point or another. Some of us have to overcome it every day, and it can be crippling. Coming to grips with yourself isn't easy. It took me years to work past my social anxiety and actually learn how to stand my ground in a crowd, or make eye contact while talking to people. And seeing anxiety handled so well in Celeste is nothing short of breathtaking. The parallels of overcoming the hazardous terrain and overcoming your internal conflict aren't lost at all while playing the game. Sometimes you have to look at the parts of yourself you don't like before you can find the root of the problem and fix it. This is a great lesson, and Celeste is only better because of it. Celeste is a hell of a game. It's challenging, compelling, touching, and fun. It handles its subject matter masterfully and tells a wonderful tale of healing. If you're going to play one indie game all year, make that game Celeste. Sometimes, climbing the mountain is terrifying, full of pain, anger, self-doubt, and sadness. But if there's one thing I learned from Celeste, it's that the climb is totally worth it. Hey there, thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I hope you think about picking up Celeste on your platform of choice. If you couldn't tell, I honestly adore this game. The gameplay is fun, and the narrative is touching and worth reflecting on. If you suffer from anxiety or mental health problems, remember there's always someone out there to listen and give you a hand. I hope you all find your way to be happy and healthy. That's my time for today, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you in 2019. Happy New Year.